Hi, welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. Working on the unicorn quilt a little bit more. As we discussed yesterday in yesterday's video, these little blocks are just 3/4 of an inch. So it's really important that all of the seams line up really well. So I'm taking the time on each run to pin really well. And I mentioned this in yesterday's video, but you want to make sure that your pins are straight up and down. If they're angled, they're angling the fabric most likely. You don't have to worry about it as much with your magic pins, your extra fine magic pins, because these babies are super thin. 0.4, you can't see that. And you still can't really see it very well. I mean, it's so small, but it's 0.4 millimeters. And it feels like nothing. So it allows you to not be an expert pinner and get better results than you would with a different pin. Critical thing, like we talked about yesterday, is the direction that your machine is going to be coming from. You want to make sure that you've pinned that down so that as it approaches the feed dogs, it doesn't get pushed back the other direction. You want things to lie really flat, especially on a tiny quilt like this. And if you're really particular, you go ahead and you pin the other side of it. I just wanted to recount that because it's so very important. And it's really easy to say, I don't need a pin. I can just hold it and reposition it as it goes underneath there. No, go ahead and pin and get good lines. Get really good lines. It's going to really matter. So I've been out of the house all day long. So I have very little time to work on this quilt, but I wanted to go ahead and make some progress on it, move the needle on this project, as they say, and at least get all of the horizontal slicing and stitching done. So I'm going to get to that point before I call it done, and we'll see what else I can get done. I am ironing as I go along this time because it's so tiny. Because the pieces, each individual unit is so tiny, there's so many seams. I don't want to fight other seams to flatten the new seam. So I'm ironing as I go, pressing as I go. I'm probably about a little over 1/3 of the way there. I'll get back at it and then let you see what it looks like. See, it gets pretty congested in there when you're talking about 3/4 inch blocks. I see these people who do miniature quilts and, they've got log cabins that are the size of a penny or a dime, whatever. It's just incredible. Great exercise of patience for sure. Making sure everything around the new seam is pressed nice and flat. Get it out of the way. I'm coming in with my tool, using the flat side of it, using the point to separate, and then using that instead of my finger to press it down. Kind of protects my fingers. The tips of your fingers are just held on with ligaments. No muscle. You have no muscles in your fingers. You only have muscles in your hands. So if you have weak connective tissue, your fingertips move around outside of their normal joint space too readily, and that's going to only add to your arthritis as you age. So using something instead of your fingers to press is a good idea for anybody, you know, who is prone to arthritis or anybody with a connective tissue issue. There are different types of connective tissue diseases and disorders. There, turn it over, press that flat. Oh, that's looking so good. Getting it good and hot. All right, I'm gonna let that cool while I go do another one. All right, this one's nice and cool. Take it off. I'm gonna put it on the design board by the sewing machine and get this new one pressed open. Man, this is really shrinking down. Yep. See, I accidentally turned up one of my seams. Isn't that pretty? I think a wild fabric like this works out really nicely to have small blocks and a lot of seams matching up. I'm going to leave this. Okay, back to the sewing machine. It's funny, you can really feel there's like condensation on this. So it really pulls out the moisture and the heat. Gonna take that back over to the sewing table. Getting close. Kind of pressing right up against that seam. Get everything laying flat around the new seam. Then it's much easier to not mess things up as you come in and target the new one. All right. Here we go again. Getting super close. This is all that was left at the sewing machine. Need to get that seam pressed, that new seam pressed. Take this one off of the ironing mat. So we've got, what, 3 seams left to make? We've got these 2 pieces to join with this one. Getting really close. Aren't those fun? Yeah, to put my unicorn head on this, I may have to compromise and redraw my unicorn. Or, like I said, get creative about how I expand this thing. All quilts have to have borders, right? I can just put like a couple of inches of a border around it. What would it be? Maybe more like an inch, because if you normally put a 3 or 4 inch border on your standard quilt, then on a little miniature quilt like this, wouldn't an inch border be sufficient? Wouldn't that be not sufficient? What's the word I'm looking for? Visually, wouldn't that be well balanced? Is my unicorn gonna care? Or is my 5-year-old granddaughter going to care? Probably not. But I'm going to care every time I look at pictures of it. I'm going to care that I took matters like that into consideration. So if I pre-press down where the points are, that all these fabrics come together, really makes things go easier with the ironing. This is the Rowenta iron that I've talked to you guys about before when I was cleaning it. You know, it's not a bad iron. I've had it for several years. And I've had it for a full year, 14 months of quilting. And I've had it for years prior to that. Now, I didn't get a lot of work out outside of my quilting, but I've had it for years. But I don't put water in. I did initially, but I just get tired of emptying it out. So I'd rather just keep the water in one of these. All right. So which one had a new seam? Did this have a new seam? No, that's the one I just took off the ironing mat. This one had a new seam. I think the back side is just as pretty as the front, if not more. I just really do love seeing the seams. I kind of feel like I need to make a quilt like that one day. And like a wall hanging quilt, like that would be really pretty. Maybe even do it out of neutrals. I was watching the catbird quilts this morning, not really watching it. I had to go and rewatch it because she was presenting something that I really want to watch, like leisurely watch. She was doing the minimalist category at QuiltCon, and one of the ones was all gray fabrics. The quilter wanted to present what, you know, one hue can do. So she picked gray, and it was lovely. Like I said, I was busy doing other things. I almost didn't play the video because I knew I couldn't watch it at the moment, but I wanted to be enticed. So I listened to it while I got ready to leave the house this morning. And I am definitely enticed. I got caught enough glimpses of the different quilts that she was presenting. She does such a great job reporting on the quilts. I don't know how she manages it, if she's just one of those people that the right word is always right on her tongue, or if she's going through the quilts and coming up with what she's going to say ahead of time, or if she's doing a voiceover afterwards. I don't know. I just watch her and I think, how are you doing this? It's amazing. It's so professional and so well done. Somebody with a journalism degree would be impressed. And to do it, you know, like in public, on the spot, you know, that's just not easy. Okay, I'm going to put that together. Oops, I'm not going to put that together because that's going to be 2 matching ones. So even though this was my outside edge, I'm going to have to clean that up and clean up this outside edge. I think that's an outside edge. No, that is. Do that. Do I want to do that? It's not lining up well. Yeah, it is. Or do I want to do this? I think I like that. First, I'm going to put these 2 together. I want to take some bets before you watch the rest of this video. Put it in the comments if you think my unicorn head is going to fit on this quilt once I get it all done. It's looking pretty small. It's shrinking. It is shrinking big time. It's definitely to scale now. It's quite lovely. Okay, One more piece to add. And what did we decide to do? Were we going to put it there? No, we were going to put it over here. I need to clean up that edge. Clean that edge up. I don't need to take off too much, but I want to make sure it's a nice straight edge before I add anything else to it. All right, and if this is going to be my edge that goes on there, let's make sure that's a nice straight edge too. Okay, I turned it around so I can cut it. Let's make sure when I put it on, I turn it back around and don't get all twisted. This is a little bit harder because I can't. It's trying to twist on me down here. Nope, that's good. You're my accountability partner. Make sure I turn it back around before I attach it. One more seam to go. I am so glad. I'm not going to do this very tip. I'm going to do that separately. I'm starting with the second unit. There's nothing coming off. It's nice. Oh, right there. Okay, that's fine. That is fine. Turning it back around. Yay. Okay, pin it, sew it, iron it, and then we'll see how much we need to add. I'm so glad I pushed forward. So glad I pushed forward and got stuff done. This is really what I wanted to get done today on the quilt. I wanted to get to this point. Well, this other seam added. And I did. It would have been really easy to come home today and say, I'm done. But I would have been disappointed in myself because I want to push forward and get this quilt done. I want to be able to play and do the more fun stuff really as quickly as I can. So I need to do this tedious stuff first. Well, the truth is about to be known. Does anybody else see a really strong seam right down the middle? That's the top of my unicorn. Yep, I need to add a couple inches. So if I do an inch border all the way around, I still have all these pieces that I showed you yesterday. I still have all these to work with. I will sleep on that overnight and see. First, I'm going to finish sewing these together and see what they make for me. I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure that out tomorrow. I'm anxious to get to the point where I am doing my thread sketching. I'm going to call it thread sketching instead of thread painting because I'm not doing a full painting. I'm just doing a line sketching, almost like the unicorn drawing that you saw, with some shadowing and some detailing, but not a full paint job. Yeah, I'm anxious to get to that point. And so I'm really glad that I pushed through and got some done tonight, even though it is dark. So I'm going to call it good. Go edit, get this sent to YouTube so you guys can see it tomorrow morning. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.